Hey, I'm Danny from BOSS, and this is the IR-200, the amp and IR cabinet simulator. Whether you want to run directly to a mixer, or record directly, or have a great sounding headphone rig, the IR-200 replaces your amplifier on your pedal board, works in conjunction with all your other pedals, and gives you a really great platform that's easy to use and sounds awesome. Let's talk about it today. The reason you would want a product like this is that it takes the place of your amplifier. Now, amplifiers are fantastic, but we do know the limitations behind those. I myself live in an apartment, so I don't have the ability to plug an amp and drive it as hard as I can. And also, I really like to have the sound good in headphones. So while there are solutions to take my amplifier and use headphones with that, having it all encompassed on your pedal board has a really big advantage too. So the challenge to replacing an amplifier is that the speaker, the way it interacts with the room, the way it dynamically plays with your amplifier, that's such an important part of guitar tone and getting a good pleasing tone. So the IR-200 uses very advanced impulse response technology that allows you to kind of take a snapshot of a really cool sounding cabinet. So with the 32-bit processing of the IR-200, you have a very high headroom dynamic set of amplifiers matched with a very high quality stereo impulse response. Then you also have various ambience settings and a different ambience settings for whether or not you're using headphones or the 1/4-inch jacks on the back. So let's check it out. So the IR-200 has a very straightforward, what you see is what you get interface. This knob right here is your amplifiers. Cycling through will give you all 11 different amplifiers, 3 of which are bass amplifiers. Then you have your cabinet modeling, and then you have your ambience settings, all right on the front panel. Gain, level, bass, middle, treble that are always there for you, just like an amplifier to set when the mood strikes. So let's give it a listen. For the amplifiers, if you click into here, you get a few extra settings like gain, level, bass, middle, treble, and then your gain switch. So all of the amplifiers have a gain level control that can give you a little bit more than the amplifier would normally give you. Let's go low. So let's check out the cabinets. So the cabinets are using impulse responses. That's kind of a complicated concept to talk about, but basically consider it like a snapshot of a particular sound setup. So what happens is that you would take your setup that's mic'd up and you would run a sine wave through it and you would capture that information, that data. Impulse responses are not simply an EQ that's applied to your sound, because there's time data involved as well, because not every frequency moves at the same speed and not every frequency responds in the same way. What we include here is we have 144 impulse responses from BOSS, we have 10 impulse responses that are available from Celestion, and then we allow you to have 128 user impulse responses. Now, you can make your own impulse responses of your own gear, or there are lots of third-party places that allow you to buy impulse responses that they've made from like famous gear setups, famous cabinets, and stuff like that. So it's really a very open-ended way to improve your tone and change your tone, and it really makes this product and any product that uses impulse responses kind of infinitely upgradable. So let's check out some impulse responses and take a listen as to how big of a difference it makes to have the speaker impulse response changed with the pedal. So they make a huge difference. They make such a sweeping change to your tone Once you dive into the world of impulse responses, you can almost get lost in the possibilities of tone available to you. So don't get too freaked out with the choice, because you do have a very powerful set of EQ on this pedal, both on the front and internally as well. So don't get too freaked out about impulse responses, but know that that's such a huge, powerful way to change your tone and make some pretty exciting changes. It's easy for me to show you tons of sound examples of just the IR-200, but that's not really the point. It's made to work in harmony with your existing pedals. So let's try a couple of different pedals out and get a feel of how this thing takes pedals. So here is my trusty BD2W, one of my favorite pedals that Boss makes. There's my clean tone. So really sensitive to the volume knob of your guitar. Let's change the cabinet modeling. Let's try a different amp. This is a Tweed combo with a 112 speaker. We all know too well that at any moment, it doesn't matter what style of music your band plays, there's always a chance some Metallica riffs get through. So the IR-200 has a very wide variety of amplifier models, so if you need to get heavy for any reason possible, you got some pretty good high gain amps built into this thing as well. So here's the X gain, which is really nice. So whenever I'm testing out new pedals like this, I'm always looking for the most dynamics and the most playing with my volume knobness of these types of things. So what better test than to try it with a germanium fuzz like the TB2W? Let's take a listen. So another really big part of the IR-200 is the send and return of the pedal. This allows you to put pedals after the amp's distortion, and it allows you to have a stereo return so you can use stereo effects. So I'm using the send of the IR-200 to the DC2W, then I'm using a TRS insert cable that goes left, right to a TRS jack on the return. That way it's fully stereo. Here's the difference there. So the IR-200 has Ambiance. Now Ambiance we know is reverb, and reverb just makes everything a little bit more pleasurable, because even in the deadest room, deadest gig, whatever, there's still some sort of air, there's ambience in the room. So in order to replicate that truthfully, we have a few different ambience modes, and we have a separate ambience mode for the headphone jack on here. So you can have a little bit of ambiance going to your amplifier or to the output jacks of your USB interface, or for your headphone mix, you have something that's a little bit more intense, a little bit more spatial. So let's take a look at what that sounds like. So for the ambient settings, I typically run it pretty dry, pretty low, because I tend to want a little bit more of the natural room ambience, and I like it to be a little bit more dry sounding. But if I'm using headphones just to practice or enjoy myself, because I'm closed off with closed back headphones, I typically want a little bit more ambience. So that's where the separate settings come in, and that's where the surround sound of the ambience and the headphone mix comes into play. So let's check it out. What I'm going to do is I have my normal outputs going to this recording interface, and then I'm going to have a separate output from the headphone jack and I'm going to switch between them. You might want to use headphones for this part because the information that you're going to hear might be pretty subtle, but let's check it out anyway. So the IR-200 has tons of features under the hood. It's got USB in and out for you to record, as well as playback audio through this as well. You can also plug your auxiliary in if you want to plug music into this. You have full MIDI complement in and out jacks for control inputs. Tons of features inside of this pedal. So one of the great parts about IR-200 is that it has bass amps and bass cabinets. What's really nice about that is that I can use the same pedal board I've set up for bass guitar as I do normal electric guitar. So it makes recording so easy that I can just strap on a bass, turn to my bass patch, and away I go recording without changing any connections whatsoever with my gear. So let's have a little listen. So that was the IR-200. It's a wonderfully dynamic and inspirational tool to have. It works wonders integrated with all your great pedals on your pedal board. It works great as a recording device, whether it be for guitar or bass. It's just plain fun to use. It has tons of features, but it's never complicated, and that's a wonderful thing. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. See you later.